friends were not fans, vice versa. I'll change the title later, but that's enough to get people at least have some idea.
Or it can sometimes, a friend that's an unexpected fan that you didn't expect to, sometimes that can happen. There can be variables, but yes, it's true. I think sometimes our fans are not people that are necessarily our friends, as we know from Facebook. A lot.
Right. Yes. Now I am trying to change it because it says here we are talking about death and burial and cremation, and we're not talking about that this time.
No. That's
so I'm going to see if it asked me if I want to add translations. No, I do not want to add translations. How in the world do I edit this?
Okay, friends, I see that the title is correct though. Let me see.
Yeah, the title is correct. I'm just wondering if it would let me edit the description. I want to change the description because we're not talking about death. And let me see how I could possibly do that.
Sometimes if I have my phone up secondary, maybe you can bring up all your videos in your phone, like your video stream, and then you can edit that way perhaps. So I'm going to go ahead and share this so people will see that we are live. So anyway, I'm sharing this to our wall.
Okay, all right. I'm going to sign up. The problem is that I'm not
okay, I just have to click share.
For that reason, I can't edit it here because I'm in a different account.
I'm going to share it in 2 different spots. So I am actually buying some Facebook ads for my Facebook blog page. Because for the longest time, I thought my Julia Hanna page just had no interest. Like random people would come and be like, this lady, I guess maybe she was part Lebanese or something. She said, my sister's name was Julia Hanna. But I noticed lately I'm getting a few new people that were liking my page. So I bought some ads, but I targeted them outside of the US to the United Kingdom because I kind of want a variety of people to watch my channel. So I just wanted to see how that would work, but I just got 1 like. Which leads me to the conclusion that Facebook ads are not all that in a bag of chips. Not all that in a bag of chips.
Yeah, I have not found that buying ads helps me, so I do not do that anymore.
Well, what I did was I decided to get the cheapest ad because I said, I'll do it again, but I'm only going to spend $1 a day because they had this deal like, oh, you can get ads for like $1 for 1 day. So I got maybe 10 views and I got 1 new like. But I just want to see if maybe since I'm doing these ads for a second day, I want to see if any videos I post or any things I share get more views, which I don't think it's going to translate into views. But I thought, I'll try it. It's a $1 ad. Why not?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it works, that's great.
It didn't necessarily translate into more likes. I just got a like on my post. So, but one thing I've noticed actually was organically after I purchased an ad. So I guess a couple of my Facebook pages for promoting blogs, like I noticed that I was getting more likes months down the road. But then one Facebook page where I promote YouTube content grew organically on its own because of the subject matter. Anything that's health, beauty related seems to get more traffic just on its own.
I'm giving up on this. I'm just going to let them think that we're talking about death and cremation.
Okay, that's fine because you can fix it later, and anybody who wants to watch will be watching anyway.
Yeah. So if you did tune in because it said something about death and cremation, that was the previous video, and you could go look at that if you want to. Or you could listen to what we're talking about, which is that sometimes our fans are not our friends, and sometimes our friends are not our fans.
Yeah, or in the rare occasion where a friend can be like, oh, watch it. And that can surprise. But usually I think, to be honest with you, many of the people that are fans of our channel will not be our immediate friends. And that's true with celebrities, because celebrities have many fans, people who follow what they do, but they're not necessarily going to be friends with all those people. One of my favorite musicians, Justin Hayward of the Moody Blues, he has this famous song that I love, Nights in White Satin. In Malaysia, that's the only song that's popular with the Moody Blues. They don't know anything about the Moody Blues, but they love Nights in White Satin. So they will actually, or they used to, I don't know if they do this anymore, but back in the 90s and early 2000s, they would go to Malaysia to do concerts because people specifically wanted them to come there to perform that song.
Yeah. Yeah. And then if they performed a different song, they didn't like it.
They don't really know anything about their other songs. They just really love Nights in White Satin, which is an amazing song. I love Nights in White Satin. Like, it's very cliche in a way, but it's not. Like, Justin Hayward, he's different than other musicians. Like, he's not like the standard pop musician. Like, he's very mysterious. Like, he'll be like, people don't know what my lyrics really mean, and he'll never really explain what a song is about. I kind of like it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So I guess what it really boils down to is somebody might like something about us, but not everything else. And the question is, how do you deal with that? And it can happen in real life. You know, you can have a friend who, for some reason, likes you because they know that you do this one thing, but they really are not interested in anything else about you. And you think, oh, that's okay. That we can start a friendship that way, and then we can get to know each other better and whatever. But some people will just stay with that one idea they have of you. They'll say, oh, you're very good at this, whatever this is. And they won't let you be good at anything else. Does that make sense?
Yeah, they have typecast you as a friend typecast.
Yeah, right, exactly. So that can happen to you. I know, even little girls with their moms will do this because, my mother cooked for us throughout my childhood, and I loved her cooking. And I guess I mistakenly thought that because I loved her cooking, that she loved cooking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because when you're a kid, you think, oh my gosh, that's mom. Like, I associate her, like, if she's in the kitchen cooking.
Yeah.
Kind of the same. Yeah, but she might not love it. She might be like, well, I had to do that because I was a parent. Now,
yeah, so now she doesn't cook as much because she has no one who requires her cooking. She can if she wants to, but she doesn't want to as much as I would have imagined that she would want to,
No, I know exactly what you're saying. I actually think when it comes to cooking, what I've heard a lot of people say, when they have kids, even if they don't love to cook, they become very adept at creating meals because that's something you have to do out of necessity. And then once the kids are grown, they kind of feel a bit of relief because they're like, oh, I can like do something simple. Like, I've heard people that love to cook, all of a sudden they like to go to KFC, like something so random you wouldn't think of because they're like, I don't have to cook that night. I've heard people say that,
Right. And yeah, and at one point when my daughter was a little girl, she kind of had me typecast too. She would thank me, for what I do. And she'd say, oh yeah, my mother likes to cook. And of course, I never thought of myself as that.
But she thought of you, like when she was young, like, oh, you're cooking, like you must love cooking, even though it might not be your favorite thing. It's just something you had to do out of necessity. Just like,
right.
I don't know, like a lot of people tell me that I must love riding a bike. And I thought I did for a while, but here's the type of typecasting. A lot of people are having a really hard time understanding why I don't ride a bike anymore because I felt so confident on it for the longest time, but I was never 100% confident on it because I never liked to ride a bike downhill. And it's like kind of just a gentle incline here. But all of a sudden something happened after that water bottle was thrown into the chain of my bike where I just have lost all my confidence to ride the bike because I keep feeling like I'm going to fall off. So now people are like, why don't you ride your bike anymore? And people are having like an existential crisis. I know that sounds weird, but a lot of people are upset with me because I'm not riding my bike anymore.
Yeah, I understand how that is because you were somebody that they looked up to and you were doing something that maybe they didn't want to do, but they enjoyed watching you do it, and now you're not doing it, and they feel like you let them down, but it was really never for them anyway, right?
Yeah, that's what someone else told me too. Okay, somebody said, well, that's why I don't want to take up a certain sport, because I'm afraid like I won't keep up with it. And I'm like, okay, the only reason I started riding a bike was in 2013. I thought, well, maybe it'd be faster to get to work, and I used to like it. And then I got a little bit better at riding it, but I was never like a bicyclist like expert. Like I wasn't like these people who ride around in these bicycling competitions here in our city. And I used to ride on the sidewalk, which in our city they don't really care about, but in some cities you might get ticketed for that. And I wasn't gonna ride on the street because I was too scared to. And that probably sounds horrible, but there's nobody walking on the sidewalk, and I would get off my bike and walk it. But now I'm afraid I'm gonna fall, so I'm just done with riding the bike.
That's okay. I mean, it's your life, your choice, and you're not doing it for anybody else. Yeah, I can tell you a story about me and bikes, but it really might not have a lot to do with this. It took me a really long time to learn how to ride a bike. You know how most kids at 5 or 6 they learn how. So my father bought me a bike with training wheels when I was 6, and he expected me to be able to get off the training wheels really fast, and I was entirely dependent on the training wheels and didn't learn how to ride it. And then it wasn't until we went back to Israel and I was 8 years old, and I had a dream in the night that I could ride a bicycle. And the next day I took the bicycle that my grandparents had bought me. It was a different bike, and it was a little bit too big for me, but and I was able to ride the bike. But that doesn't make me the world's greatest bike rider. It's just weird that I wasn't ready at 6, but I knew I was ready at 8.
I actually was about the same as you, because I didn't have like a bike till I was 7, and I think I was about 8 when I started riding it, and I had my training wheels on for a bit, and it bothered people, but I don't care because I didn't feel safe until I was ready,
Right. I just wasn't ready to balance yet at 6. And I guess the thing that I didn't tell you in the interim, so they gave up on me in the bike. And the next year when I was 7, they got me a scooter, not a motor scooter, just a regular scooter.
Yeah, those are cool though. Yeah.
Yeah. So I learned how to balance on the scooter. So then I was ready for the bike.
Oh, we'll see. There you go. You just needed that interim and.
Yeah, because I didn't understand about balance. I'm not well coordinated, but I can learn things.
Of course you can learn things. And, I used to feel confident on the bike, but I just don't know, not riding it every day. And then I started feeling like I'm going to fall. And it was really stupid. Like I'd be putting my feet down. I'm like, why am I doing this? This is why I'm walking now. And I'm just so happy just to walk. And I forgot how much I love walking, because I don't feel like I have to chain it up anywhere or worry about it being stolen or anything like that. So I like walking.
Yeah. So yeah, people can be your fans for weird things that they see you do, and then if you stop doing it, they feel disappointed. So, well, I mean, I used to practice law. I did divorces for 9 years, and then one day it was just enough I didn't do it. I mean, I wound down my law practice. I didn't just walk out on people, but I finished my last case, and I closed my shop, and I went and got a PhD in linguistics. And there were people who were disappointed in me because they said, I thought you were a lawyer, as if I had to be a lawyer for life.
No, maybe you changed your mind. You wanted to pursue a PhD in linguistics, and that's great, because I think you can change your goal at any time that you want. This is another thing I don't really get though. Okay, I think it's great if you want to go to school to get an education because it's something you really want to do. But I feel like now there's this push, okay, younger people just going to school because they keep telling them, well, they're going to get a better job if they do. But some younger people are not academically inclined, and then they end up in debt. But I also see the same thing with some older people. They're like, I have to go to school so I can get a better job and make more money. But not everybody's academically inclined, or some people are not really sure what they're going to major in, and they're just going to school and they're like, I'll figure it out later. But I don't know if that's always the best policy, because there's some people that didn't go to college and they make more money than I do. So I think if you wanted to obtain a degree for learning and because you're interested in a topic, yes, but I wouldn't do it at like Ross Perot. Look at him. He became a billionaire, but I wouldn't say it's because he had a degree. It's just because he was in the computer industry, you know?
Yeah, there's a middle ground too. So, for instance, my daughter is in college. She will get her degree. Her degree will be in psychology with a minor in sign language.
Yeah.
But she's also started a YouTube channel, and it really depends on what happens. If she gets a wonderful, high-paying job doing something that uses her degree, that's wonderful. And if she doesn't, and she's successful on YouTube, that's also wonderful. So
you can do both.
Yeah, you can do both.
Yeah.
And I had a friend who knew that I liked to write, but I was afraid to tell her that I also like to draw. Isn't that funny?
Oh.
But she was the kind of person, she told me about this other friend that she had who thought she knew how to do everything. And you know, she was putting down that friend for trying everything. So I didn't tell her I was trying a lot of things too.
But I guess people have the time to do that, but I think people should do what they want. And I'm not sure how helpful it is to be like, to pass judgment on other things that people want to try and do, whether it's good, bad, or,
yeah,
you know, mediocre or what. People should be free to do what they want, to pursue the interests that they like. And I don't think we should always typecast people into a certain, just one genre of being, you know?
Right. So right now I have these fans. They're not my fans. They're certainly not my fans, but they are fans of my main channel. And they're trying to bully me into only doing grooming videos. And that's not who I am. You know, there's nothing wrong with grooming videos, and I will probably continue to do them because Bo likes to groom me, but that is not the be all and end all of either my life or Bo's life for that matter.
For sure. Yeah, it's just one piece of his life that you're sharing on YouTube. As for the people that are trying to bully you, I think it's just one particular person that likes to make comments. And
well, he's got a different name every day, so yeah.
Yeah, he has a lot of time on his hands, and I suspect that's great that they watch your videos, but he might be one of those people that's outraged that on Monday morning a certain type of video is not popping up on his feed, which then he needs to resolve that within. That's kind of an issue within himself. That's great. He could go back and watch old videos, but he shouldn't expect someone to post something every day just because he likes it.
Right. Yeah. And he uses the royal we. We are not amused by this video. Well, you know, we don't like it.
Maybe it's a family that's watching, and maybe that's who the we is. I don't know. But I don't think it's everybody that follows your channel. There's a lot of people that have been subscribed to your channel for years before you even had a viral video on that subject. So
right. My first viral what I considered at the time a viral video was it was actually a diorama for school that my daughter made, and I wrote an article about how to make a diorama like that, and then there was this very short snippet in which I just showed the diorama. That's all it was, and it wasn't an amazing diorama. It wasn't, because my daughter made it, and so, and she was a child. It's not like I'm not one of those parents where they do all the work, and so it was very short, and that video got 15,000 views, which at the time seemed like a lot to me.
Yeah, I used to think that was like, wow, like if I had 1,000, I'm like, that's amazing. But now I know that that's just kind of standard for YouTube with a moderately successful video. But yes, that's actually quite a bit more views than some people will ever have on some of their channels.
Right. Yeah. So it's amazing the sorts of things that people want to watch. I did upload some documentary style videos about Bo's language learning, and none of those ever became viral.
I don't think documentaries always do. Like, there'll be things like random things that I like to watch, and I'll always be like, well, why does this have so few views? And I'm like, well, it's a documentary. It's more academic in nature. It's not really what people are coming to YouTube. I think when people are going on YouTube, they're looking to be entertained or relaxed or stimulated. And those are the things that are going to pull in the mega views in general. A documentary is very educational and interesting, but it's only going to appeal to a small audience. Unfortunately, over time, documentaries are rarely viral unless there's something very odd going on in the documentary that's causing people to want to watch it and it's trending. Aya, are you still there? Aya, I think we're frozen. Aya. Aya, are you there? I think we froze. I see your message. Oh my gosh, person. Well, meanwhile, I don't know. Aya's frozen, so I'm kind of stuck by myself. I guess she's coming back. Let me type and see. So anyway, typecasting. What do you do if you are typecast as a friend or as a YouTuber or just as a actor or just anybody? I guess you just have to decide if you are comfortable enough to go ahead and start revealing or doing other things that you enjoy. Oh, I'm frozen too. So I'm just talking to myself. Oh, yikes. Okay. But I still see myself talking on YouTube. Okay, that's interesting. Let's do a point. Let's see. I think I'm still live. I'm just gonna have to wait until I see that part. Yep, I'm still there. I'm still live all by myself. So should I leave? Let me see. Okay, so I'll keep talking. So yes, I was just gonna say typecasting is definitely, it's a dilemma, it's a problem. If you don't want to be typecast, then you just have to be free to share other facets of who you are. And some people might not like it. Like some people, they don't like if I wear glasses. But guess what? I've been wearing glasses since I was 17. So I'm going to keep wearing glasses unless you want me to be blind and think that a sheep, dog is a sheep. But anyway, that's beyond that. So I guess I have another example of typecasting. I have a channel about hair. And I know that I couldn't post like just any old video there. I couldn't post like about, I don't know, how to make a snowflake, like a paper snowflake on that channel. I can imagine there would be outrage, like utter outrage. Like there are some people that told me on this channel, they're like, oh, I didn't know you actually look nice. I just was looking at your hair because your hair looks nice. Because there's a lot of interest in this channel for hair, but it's not even like a hair tutorial channel. It's just people that are interested in long hair because this is a thing. Yeah, we're still live and people are interested and they watch it, and I kind of find it interesting and it's kind of fun, but then I kind of do my own thing too. Even though I'm showing long hair, I'm just doing live talks and live streams while I brush my hair or if I go for walks. And I started something else the other day. It was called Long Hair Updos in the Park. So I go to the park to eat lunch, and sometimes I'm writing notes now, or sometimes I'm eating lunch, and I'm making a live stream about it. So, but I know, like, let's say tomorrow, if I had really short hair, I don't think people would be as interested in that channel. Like some people might be, but I don't get that they would be. So on my main channel, I have videos that I really enjoyed posting. And those were fun to make in the past, but people didn't really watch them because nobody really cared about my art project to draw a cat or a cooking video. It just, I'm still sitting at 974 subscribers on that channel. I mean, I don't upload all the time there, of course, but it's not like there's a large demand to watch how to draw a cat or my art projects or a cooking project, or I would sometimes do walking vlogs there. Let me see if Aya's back. I'm just prattling on myself. Okay. So I was just letting Aya know that I'm just continuing to talk. While she's there, she's going to be writing. See, this is the nature of a live stream. These are live, like as in right now. So anything can go by with technology. We can freeze up. And so what else was I going to talk about before Aya comes back? So she's coming back, yay. So with typecasting, I guess this is just why we know that some people might be our fans of a certain thing that we do, but they're not going to be our friends. And then when we have friends, well, here's an example. We were bloggers like for years, or writers on hub pages, and a lot of people that would be watching us, not watching us, they'd be reading our blogs. Like we're also, you know, writing blogs, and we friended each other on Facebook. And we kind of did this mutual thing where some of us would comment on each other's hubs and things, but then we would have other people that would friend us on Facebook. Like I know some people, they only go on Facebook to share social things that they do. Like if they go somewhere or do something, or they go to a concert, that's the only time they're going to post something on Facebook. But I actually joined Facebook back in 2011 because I wanted to share blogs and I wanted people to read them. And I have like this, interest and desire to like share my writing, and kind of like carried over into doing video. And I never went to video editing school, but I feel like just by doing YouTube on my own, I've learned a few things, and now I'm able to, you know, make a little video. It might not be like a highly edited video, but I'm learning more video editing effects and things like that. And I just enjoy doing like these little live streams, and it's, for me, it's kind of like a hobby. Like I'm a hobbyist YouTuber. I'm never gonna be, what would you call, like a big influencer, but I just enjoy doing this as a hobby. So yeah, people might not like a specific thing that we do, or they might just like one thing that we do. But I guess what I was trying to get back to saying is a lot of our friends on Facebook might not even watch our videos. Like I used to have a friend that told me, oh, I will see when you post like about a blog that you wrote or about an article that you wrote, but I don't have time to click through. And I was like, really? Do you know how long it takes you to click through? You click and it goes through. It takes like 30 seconds, okay? And I had people tell me that were my friends, like, oh, I've seen you post that on Facebook, or they just don't seem interested. So anyway, I was just trying to convey the topic while you were gone about how sometimes people might be our friends, but they're not really watching our videos or reading our blogs.
Okay, yeah. I think that Zoom booted me off so it could update. Can you believe that?
It was trying to do that to me too earlier, but I said no. It
didn't ask me. I didn't see it ask me that. So
yeah, then it probably at that point it's just too late. You have to reboot that.
Yeah, maybe it asked me in a different window, which I didn't see because I wasn't looking at it.
Yeah, well.
So did I miss anything? What were you talking about while I wasn't there?
All I was talking about was I was explaining how when we used to be on hub pages, and I think this is kind of true now, like we had some people that were friends with us and we joined them as friends on hub pages on Facebook. But some of our Facebook friends would see us, they were people from our own lives. And these weren't necessarily people that wanted to read our hubs or our blog posts or even watch our videos. So it's going back to that idea that your fans might not be your friends, but your friends might not necessarily be interested in
being a fan.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So there was that movie, Mommy Dearest. Did you see that movie about Joan Crawford?
Oh, yes. We've watched Mommy Dearest. No wire hangers ever.
Yeah. So the thing that struck me was when her daughter, Christina, I think was her name.
Yeah, Christina.
Finally said to her, I'm not one of your fans.
That was so funny. I love that line too. I forgot all about that.
Yeah. So we have family members who love us and support us and want all of the best for us, but they aren't necessarily our fans. And that's okay.
That's okay. Actually, now that you bring that movie up, that's a really good example of someone that's in your family or being a friend that's not necessarily going to be a fan, because that was the whole purpose behind Joan Crawford, pretty much like wanting to have a child, because she's like, it'll look so good for my PR. And she would make her kids sit there and like write thank you notes to the fans. Like, she loved her fans that much. She loved the fandom, but Christina didn't really care that much about it.
Right, exactly. So we can't expect all the people in our lives to be our fans. And at the same time, our fans are not our friends, and they're not capable of being, it's not possible for your fan to be your friend necessarily,
No, definitely not. I mean, especially like with celebrities, like the whole Beyonce example, like somebody said, do you think Beyonce is going to be a friend of everybody that buys her album? Of course not. Like, there are people, they can be her fan. And a lot of people, they go to like a concert and you know how they're like screaming and they're hyperventilating and passing out when they see the person walk onto the stage. They may feel a connection with that person, but that celebrity doesn't even know who they are personally, because how could you know who all your fans are? You can't connect with each single person that way. You can only be friends with a finite number of people, really, finite number of people. You can't be friends with everybody, right?
Right. You can't. But occasionally somebody who's kind of famous gets together with a fan and they form a friendship. And the person I'm thinking about now, and I don't know if you've even heard of that, but Ayn Rand had a fan. Her number one fan was Nathaniel Branden.
Oh,
And so he wrote her a fan letter and she was impressed and he did meet her. And then eventually he was involved in her movement, he and his wife, and then she had an affair with him and then he ended it. And then she got very angry and so on and so forth.
mm-hmm.
So, in Ayn Rand's world, you kind of needed to be a fan of a man before, or of a woman. People who were in a romantic relationship needed to be fans of each other. There had to be a high level of admiration.
Yeah,
and that's kind of confusing. It can be confusing. Years later, Nathaniel Branden kind of, he went the other way and he said, you know what? You don't necessarily have to have everything in common with someone or admire that person in order to have a functional relationship with that person. And an example that he gave from his own life was that he liked to play tennis.
Mm-hmm.
And so he and his wife, if they were playing doubles, I don't really know because I don't play tennis.
I don't play in a high school. We had to play tennis. I remember that.
Right. Okay. So anyway, there was another couple that they liked to play tennis with, but they had nothing whatever else in common with that couple. But it was okay because it was a very limited, casual friendship in which they got together. They played tennis. They were well matched for tennis and nothing else. And they never did anything else with that couple. They just did that. And it was okay. See, and nobody got hurt.
Yeah, see, that's good though. Like, if okay, we meet with these people in just one setting and that's it. I think that's more authentic. Okay, I have to be honest with you. There is this one thing that I don't get, but maybe it's just because I'm not the super social creature of the world. There are people, they will see somebody that they haven't seen forever. And I see this all the time. And they come running up to each other and they like hug. They're like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen you. And like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen you. Why don't we get together? And I see this play out like all the time. And I just always wonder in the back of my mind, okay, maybe they really do have that connection, but how is it that they just don't ever see each other or ever do anything together? Maybe they're just that busy, but just never talk at all. If they really have that connection, I have more of a limited circle of friends, like that I would do things or see. And we might not see each other all the time, but I'm able to talk to those people. It's not like, oh, I see you outside one day, I'm like, oh my gosh, where have you been? But maybe it's more that they have many acquaintances than actual personal friends. But I could be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, no, there are the fake people who are just always kissing and hugging for no reason, whatever. And they, you know, or maybe they're not fake and this is me putting that on them.
Mhm.
Maybe they just are very affectionate people, very touchy-feely kind of people. So that even if they just like someone a tiny bit, not a lot, they feel they have to hug that person and kiss that person. I don't do that.
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't either. But
yeah. But the other side to this, I'm going to have to admit that there are people that I haven't seen in years. And then I
Mhm.
went to Israel and I saw them. And so, okay, I didn't hug, you know, it wasn't like that. It wasn't touchy feely and huggy and all that. But
Yeah,
I did have feelings that were pretty strong to some childhood friendships that I left behind because, I mean, I didn't have a choice. We left Israel.
yeah, you didn't have a choice in that matter for sure. That I totally get. And maybe that's just how it is for everybody, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know, but I don't know because later I came home and I said, "Oh wow, I really miss these childhood friends. It's like we have a lifetime of knowing one another." And I told my mother that, and she said, "What do you mean a lifetime? You left this person, you didn't see this person since you were 4 years old, and you didn't see that person since you were 10 years old. How can you call that a lifetime?" But the thing is, it was a lifetime of me having memories of them. And the early memories in our lives are stronger than later memories. So there are people that I met at a different age, like when I was 12 or 16 or 20 or even 30, where I don't have even though I know how to get in touch with those people, my feelings aren't that strong about it.
Yeah, it's not as visceral. Like, I think a childhood friend, you have a memory of things you did with those people, and it's very strong. It's just sometimes those memories just come back into your mind at the most random moments.
Right. And there was just this feeling of, yeah, it wasn't just that I remembered them, they remembered me. And it wasn't just that I remembered stuff about their family, their parents. They remembered my parents and they would tell me random things that I didn't know about my parents, or, you know, just a random memory in their life that they remembered my father, you know, and that meant something to me.
Oh, see, that's nice. See, that's good. So maybe I shouldn't be like, I don't try to be judgmental of people like running up to each other and like, oh, I haven't seen you in a long time. Maybe that's just how people connect with each other.
I think some people really are fake. I don't know which ones. I can't say which ones, but there are people who are just very, they will hug and kiss anybody that they even remotely remember, or even if they don't remember them.
Yeah,
Uh,
maybe it's just a social form of communication for them, like a handshake.
right.
Yeah.
But it is possible to be separated from someone for, you know, longer than you ever knew them and still have that person be prominent in your memory and in your thoughts.
Yeah, and it can be negative or positive. Like I remember Cenk Uygur said he had this teacher in Turkey that he didn't have a fond memory of, but something about her being so judgmental and favoring this one student kind of caused him to want to like investigate the truth and like give equal time. I thought that was interesting. Like he had a very visceral memory of that teacher in like third grade. So childhood memories are they're very prominent.
Yes, and the other thing that strikes me is that they're not just your memories, they're your parents' memories, and they're not just memories of those kids, but of their parents, of their families, of the family dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so later on, you might meet people and you don't know anything about their family or their background. And not knowing those things about them really makes them mysterious, and you never get to know them in the way that you got to know those kids that you played with, and you also played in their parents' home, and you knew the things that were going on there. And uh, there's this feeling, you know, these people are not strangers, but everybody else I have met my entire life after that, were more like strangers, even after I
Mhm.
got to know them for 30 years or so.
No,
Does that
I
make
know what you're
sense?
saying. It's just harder as adults to feel that level of comfort because you grew up in that community together. You saw, they remember things about your parents and it has special significance to you. Whereas somebody you meet in a professional line of work when, I don't know, you're like 36, you're not going to have that familial connection with them. You just happen to be coworkers in this joint space. So, like a friendship may form, but it's never going to be the same.
Right, exactly. So that, I don't know, that's kind of interesting to me. Um, of course, in those cases, it's not necessarily that you're fans of theirs or
Mhm.
you're a fan of theirs or they're a fan of yours, but it's just somehow that there's a significance in their mind to you and in your mind to them.
Yes. Oh, definitely. For surely. Yes. For surely. Anyway. But
Yeah.
that's interesting about your trip to Israel and how it brought back those memories. I enjoy hearing about that because I've never been away from California. I've lived my whole life in California and this is all I've really known. But this is the one interesting thing. Other people, their parents or their grandparents grew up here in California, and my parents are from elsewhere. So, like, the stories they tell me are completely different than people that grew up in California. And I sometimes feel like my mindset's a little bit more Midwestern because of how my parents raised me, as opposed to people that grew up here. They have kind of a different mindset, like a little bit more fast paced and just a little bit more maybe social group. Not that people aren't social in the Midwest, but my parents were more in a rural setting, like living their lives, not out socialized, not as much big city fast pace. So I'm a little bit slower in my pace, I think, because of my background. That's, if that makes any sense. I don't know.
Yeah, it makes sense, and my daughter, when she came to Israel, she didn't feel totally a stranger. I mean, there were lots of things that were strange to her and different,
Mhm.
but she didn't feel totally a stranger. And then after that, she visited in California a family related to who we were staying with in Israel. And she felt very at home with them because the background was so similar that, yes, the kids spoke English better than Hebrew, but the parents spoke Hebrew better than English. And, it was, she felt at home both with the parents and with the kids her own age,
Nice.
which she never felt here because here she still feels a little bit like if we're out close to where we live, she doesn't feel like she wants to speak Hebrew in public
Oh.
because she says, oh, people here don't know what languages are. But if we go to a city, a big city, she doesn't mind,
Yeah, people speak different languages all the time in California. It's not a problem. But this is the weird thing. I know some people, they're from multi-ethnic backgrounds, and it would be people that would surprise me. Like they would be Asian and their parents might have spoken a language that wasn't English, but okay. They were talking about how these two coworkers were speaking in Spanish and how it was bothering them, and they were starting to feel like they were talking about them. And I'm like, well, I don't really care if people speak in a different language. Like, I don't need to know what somebody's saying all the time. But I guess, like this one lady said, this one person was becoming bothered by it because she didn't know what they were saying. I was thinking, well, maybe you don't really need to know what they're saying. Like that doesn't bother me, but there are some people, even here in California, even though many people speak different languages, they still don't like in certain settings if two people start speaking a different language, like they start thinking, what are those people hiding? And I'm thinking, well, maybe they just feel more comfortable or they have a bond with each other because they both speak that language. It
Right.
doesn't bother me
Yeah.
personally, but I do know some people that have said like in a in certain settings they don't like it. But I'm like, I don't know. I've never been bothered by it.
Yeah. No, I actually enjoy listening to people talking different languages, even if it's a language I don't understand, because I want to sort of
Learn.
analyze the language and see if I
Yeah.
can what language family it's in, even if I don't identify the exact language,
I'm I'm not much of a linguist because I'm not very good at speaking other languages. However, I'm good at identifying many of the major languages when I hear somebody speaking it. Like I was able to tell these people, oh, you guys are speaking Portuguese, and they're like, do you understand Portuguese? I said, no, I just know like there's similarities between French and Spanish, and I was able to put together that you're speaking Portuguese, which I thought was really neat. But the lady was, she's like, oh, she seemed kind of scared. After that, I thought, well, maybe I shouldn't comment anymore. But I just do like to hear people speaking other languages. I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, I try to stay in the background. If they don't want me in the conversation, I will just listen. I'll be very happy to just listen.
Yeah. So I don't comment as much anymore, but just once in a while I used to see like, oh, that's very interesting.
So, yeah, but what do you think about romantic relationships? Do you think people need to admire one another, or is that not necessary?
Yeah, I guess they do need to admire one another. When it comes to romantic relationships, though, like the crux of the matter is like, I just feel like you need someone that can admire you, like just astronomically. And I have never really felt that with anybody. I guess like I haven't been very like. I guess I don't have I'm not the best person to ask, because I feel like whenever I end up liking someone, that's not reciprocated. And I like them on
people, no. I know all about that. And so, but what I've noticed is in a lot of the successful relationships, and I'm not going to name names or anything like that, but just the successful relationships that I see, they don't seem to be fans of each other at all. They're happy together. Mm-hmm. They seem to like each other kind of, but sometimes they don't even seem to like each other, really, honestly. Like
when people have been married for years, I have seen that, where they're having these strange like fights with each other in public and kind of like sniping at each other. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to comment on that. Like I've had people like be like, what do you think about what she said or he said? And I'm just like,
no. Yeah, you can't get into that because their relationship is very strong. I mean, these are not people who are about to get a divorce or anything like that.
Oh, no.
But they bicker all the time, and they do not seem to be fans of each other at all.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, some people enjoy, I think, bickering with each other. They enjoy, like, the discord. They thrive off of it. I think some people enjoy kind of that salt and vinegar, water and vinegar, do not mix, oil and vinegar, do not mix kind of component to a relationship.
Right. Yeah. So it's not what Ayn Rand thought it should be. Although in her real life marriage, I don't think that it was admiration on her part really for her husband, although she pretended that he was this, big hero and she put him on a pedestal, whatever. Mm-hmm. But that wasn't really the case. It didn't apply to who he really was,
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's interesting to observe and just see how different people navigate their relationship. I don't really know what to say about people and their relationships, to be honest, but are they all fans with each other? I don't think so. Like, I hear people say bad things about their spouses a lot, which they're together, but they don't seem to always speak highly of that person. But then if somebody else says something, if somebody else, like a family member, gets involved, then, oh no, that's all kinds of wrong. Like, how dare you? Like, the husband might be criticizing, I don't know, the wife's cooking or the way she does something. But then if, like, the brother-in-law says something, then that's a problem, and you're causing a rift in the relationship. He better not say anything, but the husband and wife seem to openly kind of criticize each other. As long as nobody else comments, it's okay.
Yeah. So I guess admiration is not something that many people put very highly in the requirements that they have for a relationship, or whether it's a romantic one or a family relationship or even a friendship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's probably the case, I suppose.
Yeah. Whereas when you're a fan of someone, whether you know them or not, whether they're a real person or not. You could be a fan of Spider-Man and you know Spider-Man doesn't even exist.
I know. Although you might have a better relationship with a fantasy character than you could with any man walking the earth. Sorry, I don't mean to be negative. That's kind of true.
Yeah.
Like, I like the idea of John Lafitte more than I do of most men I've encountered, but I don't know.
Right. Yeah. So, and of course, there's the legend part of it, because if you actually did meet Jean Lafitte, you would see that he had, feet of clay and he made a lot of mistakes and maybe he'd do some things that would totally annoy you. But it's still possible to look up to him because he is a hero.
Well, there's one thing John Lafitte did that I didn't like. I didn't like when he said "we." It just bothered me. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, Theodosia didn't like that he couldn't spell.
Well, there you go. That's a real.
But yeah, it's amazing how when people make a list, sometimes people make a list of what they are looking for in a person, and being a hero or admiring them or whatever, that doesn't go into most people's list, does it?
No, I don't think people are like, oh, I admire that person. They're a hero. I never had a list. I've liked certain people, but it was never formulaic. It would just happen and strike me, and it wouldn't be somebody I could always say like, oh wow, that person has done this and that on my list. But maybe I'm just kind of random that way. I'm not the right person to ask, I suppose.
Yeah, well, I mean, no, not everybody has a list exactly, but if they do have a list, it's usually not about being able to admire the person.
Yeah, true. So maybe your fans will admire you, but that doesn't necessarily translate into them being your friends or like being a potential romantic partner.
Right. Right. And so then there are fans. We do have fans. You have fans on your channels.
Yeah.
What do you think about your fans? Do you
They're
admire back?
Well, a lot of them are actually interesting. They seem really nice. But I don't know. I have never met them in real life. They like my hair. Some of them are complimentary people. I do think this though, there is somebody I did start talking to a couple of years ago through my hair channel, and I was talking to him last summer. We kind of lost contact, and then he wants to talk again, and he's going to be living closer to me. So that is somebody I kind of met through the channel, but I wouldn't say he was a super fan of the channel. I think he just watched a few videos and liked my things I said in my personality. I don't think he was a mega fan, but there was this one fan of the channel. I don't think he likes me or anybody in particular. I think he just likes himself, and he likes long hair, but then he gets really strange. Like if you say something like, oh, you must be playing a fictional character, then he gets derogatory and then you have to block him. So I don't know, but he goes to, that was a strange fan, subscriber. I didn't really understand where he was coming from.
Yeah, and I almost wonder if there's such a thing as an anti-fan.
Oh yes,
there are heroes and then there are anti-heroes. So
there are anti-fans, people that like to follow a show. I used to sometimes watch American Idol, but not really. I wasn't a diehard fan, but I do remember there was this one contestant called Sanjaya. He was an Indian American man. He had a nice voice, but he also had amazing hair. And he would do his hair in many different hairdos, but it seemed like a lot of people were just watching him to criticize him on how he did his hair that day or what cover song he sang or how he did it. It seemed like more people were tuning in to criticize him than to cheer him on, if that makes any sense. And it almost seems like he got farther in that show because of all the hate or so-called hate that he was receiving.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not all hate is bad. Maybe sometimes someone wanting to see you and criticize you can be good for your show, can be good for your brand, because it gives you more exposure that just somebody that benignly likes you would not pour into that. actually, Amanda sent me something very interesting the other day about glorious grudges, which I want her to talk about if she ever comes on again. Something
Yeah,
about,
she sent that to me too. Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. Maybe some people have a grudge. Maybe there's a little bit of
Yeah.
fire, and that fire can redirect itself into your brand or channel. That's just a thought.
Yeah, that's a wonderful thought. Bo is signaling to me that he
Okay.
probably wants me to end the show so I can tend to him, but you and I are going to talk again on my main channel tonight at 8:45 p.m. Central Time. And what time will it be on your?
6:45 Pacific time.
Okay. All right. So we will pick up that topic and maybe a few others, and I'll see you later.
Okay. Well, have a nice afternoon, Aya.
You too, Julia. Bye-bye.
Bye.